What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. As you can tell, we're somewhere a little bit different today. We're in the kitchen of my apartment and we are going to be prepping some meals. So this is a daily occurrence for me, honestly. I think a lot of people will kind of be conflicted about meal prep and whether they should cook their food multiple days in advance or whether they should cook their food fresh each day. I prefer to cook my food fresh each day. And the reason for that is just because kind of at this point, I've been doing this for like 5 to 6 years and it's just kind of gets old to eat food that's been cooked for 3-4 days. It just kind of tastes like crap after a couple of days. So I'm kind of a snob about it now, and I kind of insist that I make my food fresh each day, or at the very least maybe make for like 2 days ahead, but very rarely any more than that. So this is a daily occurrence for me. My recommendation for you guys is whatever fits your schedule best. If you've got kids and stuff like that, you may not be able to cook your food fresh each day, but if you do have the time, I think it makes your food taste a lot better. Ultimately, neither makes you a better or worse bodybuilder. It's just really which fits your life schedule the best. And at this point, I'm just, like I said, kind of a snob, and I like to eat my food relatively fresh if I can. So this is a daily occurrence for me. I think a lot of concerns with people about cooking their food fresh each day is the time that it takes. And, you know, that was kind of a concern of mine too, but I feel like at this point, I've got my meal prep down to a pretty time efficient process. So I'll let you guys be the judge of that, but that's what we're going to be going through today. So I have 6 meals that I'm going to eat tomorrow. I have a full day of work tomorrow, so that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this. I kind of want to get this done and knocked out. And my first meal is going to be a shake, so I'll show you guys how I prep that. And then I have 4 meals of meat and rice, and then my last meal is going to be like eggs and turkey bacon. I'm not going to prep my last meal because I'll be home for that one and I can cook that one fresh. I definitely don't like to make eggs and stuff in advance. That stuff is pretty gross, but I'll show you guys how I prep my first 5 meals, and then we will go from there. Okay, so the first thing that I usually start with is the rice, and the reason why I do the rice first is because that's the thing that usually takes the longest. I have not cooked my rice on a stovetop or in the microwave in like probably 4 years. I use a rice cooker, which is this one here. This is a Zoji Rushi Nero Fuzzy rice cooker. It's straight from Japan. My girlfriend actually got me this for Christmas, and when it came in the box had like Japanese, where it was, you know, authentic Japanese rice cooker. Actually, crazy story about this rice cooker is at one point I thought I had broken it, and I was looking into getting a new one, and I looked and this was like $175 rice cooker or something. So this is like the fucking Cadillac of rice cookers. Shout out to my girlfriend. But honestly, man, I've had this rice cooker for probably 4 years now, and I've had 0 problems with it. So, you know, I can't condone spending $150 or $175 on a rice cooker, especially when you can get one that same size at Walmart for like $25-50. But I have no idea about the quality of those, and I've had this for a long time, and I've never really had any problems with it. The problem that I had before when I thought that I would broke it was because I was stupid and I wasn't cleaning it often enough. But I would definitely recommend a rice cooker if you guys don't have one. I think that is an absolute must essential kitchen have for any sort of bodybuilder. Is you need to have a rice cooker. It's so convenient to just put the rice in and hit the button and walk away from it and not have to worry about it being cooked. And it also tastes so much better. Rice in the stovetop, just it ain't it. So I would just get a rice cooker, guys. That's a big, I don't even want to say investment, because like I said, you can get one at Walmart for like $25 and they do the job. So I would absolutely recommend a rice cooker if you don't have one. Got a couple kitchen things that I consider as a must that we'll probably go through today as I'm going through here. But I'm rambling. Let's get with the rice. So I'm gonna grab my scale. It's actually over here on the other side of my kitchen. So we'll start off. get this. So like I said, I'm having 4 meals tomorrow that are meat and rice. Each one of those meals has 100 grams of rice. That's raw weight. So I'm going to be having 400 grams of rice total. So I'm going to get that in the rice cooker. All right, I'm going to try and show you guys this without knocking you over. Don't know if you can see that at all, but 400 grams on the dot, not 401, not 399, 400 grams of rice. Hey, here's another pro tip, guys. So this is gonna sound weird, but I actually weigh the amount of water that I'm going to put in the rice. And obviously that isn't for calorie purposes because water has no calories, but it's because I'm really picky about how I like my rice and the texture that it is. If you guys are bodybuilders, which I'm sure you are watching this video, you guys will be able to attest to that with like cream of rice and oats and all of that stuff. Like there's a certain ratio of water to rice or oats that you use that like gives you the consistency that you like, whether you like your oats like thick or soupy, or whether you like your rice like sticky or wet or dry. And so I actually weigh the amount of water that I put in my rice so that I can guarantee that I get the texture that I like every time. You know, 100 grams of rice per meal like is not a crazy amount in my opinion. I've definitely had way more than that. But it's a good amount of rice, you know, and when you're eating a lot of rice like this every single day, like if the texture ain't hitting, it ain't hitting. And it sucks enough to get the food in as it is. And I'm not trying to make that any harder than I need to be for myself. So probably sounds crazy, weird, one of those like crazy bodybuilder things that I do, but I weigh the water that I put in my rice too. So I like a ratio of 1.5 grams of water for every gram of rice. So I've got 400 grams of rice in here. So I'm gonna put in 600 grams of water. 400 grams of rice times 1.5, 600 grams. Yeah, I'm gonna try and show you guys. I don't know if you can see it. That's 617. I'm not like super duper concerned about being exactly 1 to 1.5, especially for something with water. It doesn't really fucking matter. But that's you know, kind of my preferred way of cooking my rice is I like to experiment with a couple different water to rice ratios, and I found that for myself personally, it's like 1 to 1.5. This is Calrose rice, by the way, which is like a sushi rice. This is what I consider to be like a premium rice. It gets very sticky, especially if you cook it in the rice cooker here. It gets really sticky, and it makes it very easy to eat in large amounts, and that's really what I'm after here. All right, we're going to go ahead and get the rice in the rice cooker here. So obviously each rice cooker is going to be different, but this particular one has a bunch of different settings. It's got softer, harder, quick cooking, sushi. It's got a bunch of different things on there, and you just hit the menu button to scroll through them. I like to do the quick cooking because I am super impatient, and this is the fastest way to cook it. So even on the quick cooking, the fastest way, this amount of rice will probably take anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes to fully cook. So I like to get this started first, and then from there I get into cooking the meats and all of that stuff. So I kind of try and do everything at the same time if I can. All right, let's get going on the meat. So I've got 2 protein sources that I'm going to be using tomorrow. Good old chicken, and this is beef. This is 96% lean ground beef. I have 2 meals of chicken and 2 meals of beef. The chicken meals are going to be 7 ounces each, so 196 grams. And then the beef meals are going to be 8 ounces each, which is 224 grams. So I'm going to show you guys how I get these cooked. First things first, this 96% lean ground beef. Trader fucking Joe's. If you guys live close to a Trader Joe's, I don't care if it's half an hour out of the way. I'm telling you, I have been eating 96% lean ground beef for a very long time, and used to get it at Walmart, Aldi, like literally wherever I could get it, and they all kind of suck. This is super good, like actually surprisingly good. You know, I would probably go as far to say that like if I made a burger out of this and I gave it to like a normal person, like someone who doesn't eat clean, and I didn't tell them that this was like a 96% lean like burger, I think that they probably wouldn't guess it. It's super, super good. So Trader Joe's is where you should absolutely get the beef. I don't care if you got to move to get to Trader Joe's. This stuff is so good. And then chicken, I'm going to give you guys another pro tip here, a little chicken cheat code here on the channel. Listen, marinate this shit. Chicken is something that like bodybuilders are going to eat tons of because it's super cheap, super versatile. You can season it however you want. But let's not kid ourselves here. Eating chicken after a long time just gets bland. Chicken just doesn't hit after a while. So what I have personally found to really help me is I take my chicken breasts and I put them on like a cutting board, and then I have a meat tenderizer like the hammer, and I beat my meat, pound the shit out of it, like get it nice and flat, and then I put it in a Ziploc bag, and then I add in some marinades and I just let it sit in there. I'll show you guys two of the marinades that I'm using right now. Would be these. So this is Lowry's herb and garlic, and then this isn't even really technically a marinade. This is just fat-free Italian dressing. Now obviously there are like tons of marinades out there, and depending on like the macros and everything that you're doing, you can use pretty much whatever you want. I'm sure a lot of the ones out there that have a lot of sugar and oil and stuff in them like taste way better than these, but I am still like kind of conscious of the calories and stuff that I'm using. Even though that I'm like bulking and trying to get extra calories, I still am pretty cautious about using stuff like that, especially stuff that uses like a lot of nasty oils and refined sugars and all that type of stuff. I try to avoid if I can. So something like this per serving of the marinade is 10 calories. 15 calories for the Italian dressing. These are low enough that I don't really track these, especially if, you know, I don't measure these when I put the chicken in a bag. I literally just put the chicken in a Ziploc bag and I squirt some of this in here and I just like mash it around and I leave it in there overnight. Really, I don't put too much in there, or I don't measure it at all, at least. But I would probably assume that I use maybe 2 servings in the whole bag, which is like 2 pounds of chicken, and 2 pounds of chicken is enough chicken for like probably 4 meals, 5 meals for me. So realistically, it's probably adding like 5 calories to each meal, which is insignificant. So if you're using ones that are like super high in calories because they got sugar and oil and shit in them, you need to account for those. And if I was dieting, I would be accounting for these. I account for like every single calorie when I'm dieting, but in like a bulking off-season phase, I don't really track shit like this. Okay, first thing that you got to do is you got to get the pan started, even though we're not going to even start the beef for another couple minutes yet, but you got to get this pan started because this is the secret to the good beef. All right, let's get started with the chicken. So let me get my scale here. On top of marinating the chicken, I like to air fry my chicken. And in my opinion, an air fryer is another one of the essential kitchen tools that all bodybuilders need to have. My days of eating baked chicken breast and chicken that's cooked in the stovetop and stuff are over. I ate so much baked chicken for a long time that there's a lot of things that I would rather eat than baked chicken, I would say. So air fried chicken is really the way that I prefer it. And then I also like it on the grill. Right now we are living in an apartment complex that does not allow us to have grills, which is a major L. And so no grilled chicken at the moment. So air fryer is really the way that we go. So I'm gonna get some tin foil because honestly it just makes cleanup so much easier. Another like cheat code hack, this Reynolds wrap non-stick, this stuff is crazy, dude. Like I've you know, I don't geek out over aluminum foil too much, but this type of stuff is actually pretty crazy, and it's it works exactly as advertised. There's the dull side where the food doesn't stick, and then this really shiny side. You just put the food on the dull side, and it doesn't stick at all. And I mean, I put a lot of things in here that would definitely stick if I didn't have any oil on them and stuff, and they just glide right off. Shout out to my mom for telling me about that. So we'll get the tin foil in here. The way that I like to do this, I know that you guys can't see this right now, but I like to put the chicken on the scale and then set the scale to 0. I need 392 grams of chicken because, like I said, I have 2 meals that are 196 grams each. And I find that this is the easiest way to weigh the chicken instead of like trying to put this thing on the food scale and weighing it from there. So I just keep it in here, and then I'll pull out until it says negative 392 grams, and then that'll be the amount that I need. Another cheat code is kitchen shears. Like, just don't even try, and I'm not fancy, you know, using a knife and cutting board and all of that stuff. I don't have the time for that. So kitchen shears are definitely the way to go. You guys, I don't even know if you guys can see this right now, but you may or may not be wondering. You probably can't even see it. I'm carrying this towel in my pocket. I like wash my hands like crazy, especially when I'm playing with chicken, because salmonella is not a good thing. I have never had it, and I don't want to get it, but I'm definitely scared of it. So I feel like I'm always washing my hands, making sure I'm not trying to cross-contaminate stuff. I need 1 gram of chicken. Let's see how much 1 gram of chicken is. This is 2? Are you serious? Oh my God. I was 1 gram of chicken short, and that's that. That's like the size of my fingernail. I don't know if you guys can see that, but 392 grams of chicken in there, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get this started. Okay, so one of the things that I like to do with the chicken is I like to cut little slits in it like this, because I'll show you guys, but the way that I like to cook my chicken is kind of specific. You know, I got my own routine going. So I'll go ahead and I'll get the chicken in the air fryer here. Most air fryers will have like a specified chicken button. If you guys give a shit at all about what like I cook my chicken on, so I cook it, the chicken button on ours is 400 degrees, and I cook it for like this. I'll start by cooking it for let's do 12 minutes, 400 for 12 minutes. And then I actually will like air fry this twice. So when this goes off for the 12 minutes, we'll come back to this and I'll show you guys what I do with this. But we're gonna go ahead and get the beef on now. All right, time to cook the beef. So this whole time that I've been doing the chicken, the pan has been going, and it's been burning here. And that's key for good beef, because the key to good beef, in my opinion, is to get a good char on it. That makes it taste really, really good. So like I said, we've got 224 grams of beef in 2 meals, so we're going to do 448 grams of beef, which is actually exactly 1 pound. So I'm going to go ahead and get that in here. Now this is key, guys. We have to listen for the sizzle. Ready? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Well, that's it. That's the last of the beef. So that's 448 grams of beef. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna let that sit here, and I'm gonna get a lid on it. Obviously, I just find the lid traps the heat in and makes the beef cook a little bit quicker. So that's my preferred way to cook the beef. So pretty much now all that we do is wait. We wait for the beef to cook, we wait for the chicken to go off, and then I will meet you guys back when either of those things happen. While this beef is cooking, I wanted to show you guys another must-have kitchen utensil. I have no idea what this thing is called, but my mom got it for me, and it is basically for chopping up your beef. So instead of using your spatula and everything to chop your beef up into fine chunks, you can just use this instead. It works super well, and I like to kind of break my beef up into smaller chunks and get it really like kind of fine and easier to eat that way. So another must-have kitchen tool. I just couldn't tell you what it's called. Okay, so the beef is all done and nice and chopped up. Ooh, this actually looks a little pink. So nice and chopped up real fine. So I'm done with this. We'll get this in there. Ooh, good toss, good toss. Girlfriend will probably be pissed. There's some beef on the wall or something. Lid on the beef, so I'm just going to let that chill now at low heat. And while this was going on, the chicken is done. So what I'm going to do is, let me get my scissors right here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to chop this up into nice little chunks. And then I'm going to actually cook it again, because as you can tell, it's not 100% done yet. Still kind of pink in there. So I'm going to go ahead and get this chopped up, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like before I get it back in. Okay, so I've got the chicken chopped up into little chunks here, and then I'm going to put this back in the air fryer because, one, it still isn't done, and two, even if it was done, it was not done to the texture that I like it. So when I put it back in the second time, I'm going to use quite a bit lower temperature. So I'll typically put it in at like 300, and I'll put it in for like 5 minutes to start, and I'll get that going. Man, the thing with chicken is if you cook it too hot for too long, then it just gets really like crunchy and dry and hard to eat. But at the same time, I don't really like my chicken like super fall apart tender. I kind of like it to be a little crispy, if that makes sense. So I just kind of like to play with it a little bit, put it in for a couple minutes at the time until I get it in the right texture. But we've got about 10 minutes left on the rice. This beef is almost done here. Yeah, it's getting there. Probably another couple minutes or so. By the time this chicken is done, then the beef will definitely be done. So when all of this stuff goes off, I will catch up with you guys again from there. Okay, so the chicken just went off. I think it still needs a couple more minutes, so I'll just put it back in. We'll do... What's the lowest I can go? Let's do 250 for 5 minutes. We're experimenting as we go, guys. 250 for 5 minutes. I've got about 4 minutes left on the rice, and the beef head is done. It's officially done over here. So I got to wait till all that stuff goes off, and then we'll get it all accumulated together. But I'm going to turn the heat off on that for now. Okay guys, so the chicken is done, and that's how I like it. And then the rice is done as well, so I'm gonna unplug both of these, and then we'll open up the rice cooker here. Boom, steam. Everyone get infatuated by the rice. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take the bowl out of the rice cooker. This is really, really hot, so I'm not even gonna try to do that with one hand. And then I'm gonna get this chicken and this beef all transferred over to some Tupperware, so I will show you guys how I do that. Okay, so we're transferring all of this stuff over now so that it can cool. So I get this rice out and I start getting it like stirred up. You guys can see all the steam and stuff that's coming out of it. It's really, really hot. So the rice is going to be the thing that will take the longest to cool down. So I typically let this stuff like cool down to room temperature before I transfer it over into each of the individual Tupperwares. And this is definitely the thing that takes the longest to cool down. So we'll get the chicken and the beef transferred over. 2 Tupperwares here, one for the beef and one for the chicken. So I'll just get the beef transferred over here. Or excuse me, the chicken. This is not the beef. And then I'll grab the pan of beef over here, and we'll get that in the Tupperware. So I'm just going to, I just dropped some on the floor. So I'm going to let this stuff cool off for a little bit here. Probably take like 5 or 10 minutes or so until it reaches like a warm enough temperature to where I can divvy it up into each of the individual Tupperwares. But I'll kind of show you guys that process as well. In the meantime, while this stuff cools down, I'm going to get my pans and my air fryer and all of that stuff cleaned up here so that I don't have to clean it up later. Okay guys, it's been about 10 minutes or so since I transferred the meat over to the Tupperwares. The rice is still pretty hot. That's going to take some more time yet, but In the meantime, I'm going to get my chicken and my beef and my vegetables distributed. So this is the way that I do this. So pretty much I know that each one of these Tupperwares, when they're empty, like one of these, I've got 2 more Tupperwares. Each one of these, when they're empty, weighs 39 grams. I know that. I've just been doing this a long time. So the way that I do it is pretty simple. I set my scale to 0, and then I put my Tupperware with the chicken on top. And this is 256 grams. So remember that 256 grams is the weight of the chicken plus the weight of the Tupperware. But we know that the weight of the Tupperware is 39 grams. So I take away the 39 grams from 256, and that's 217. So there's 217 grams, 217 grams of chicken in this Tupperware. And I want that evenly distributed across 2 meals, which is going to be 217 divided by 2 is 108.5. So I'm going to have to do 108 in one and 109 in another. So then I just take an empty Tupperware and I'll tear this to 0 and I'll put in 108 or 109, either one. Okay, so I've got 108 grams in this one, which means that I've got 109 grams in this one. And then I'll do the same thing with the beef. So I'll tear my scale to 0. I'll put the beef on. So this is 303 grams, 303. So 303 minus 39 is 264. And then 264 divided by 2 would be 132. So I'm going to do 132 grams of beef in this Tupperware here. Perfect. So this is it. 2 beef meals, 2 chicken meals. I'm going to go ahead and get my veggies now, and then we'll get my veggies added to here. Veggie time. I'm super lazy, and I like to use frozen veggies, again, from Trader Joe's. So I've got spinach here, and these are a pepper mix, red, yellow, and green peppers. So I'm going to do 50 grams of vegetables with each of the meals, and I'll show you guys how I kind of divvy those up. So I have 2 veggie sources and 2 protein sources. So this is how I like to keep my meals fresh. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my beef meals, and I'm going to do 1 beef meal with spinach and 1 beef meal with the peppers, and then I'll do 1 chicken meal with the spinach and 1 chicken meal with the peppers. So all of the meals will have rice, but even though I'm basically eating like the same 2 or 3 foods across these 4 meals, the way that I organize, for lack of a better word, the beef or the protein and the veggies kind of makes each meal different. So I'll have 4 meals, but 1 meal will be beef and spinach, and 1 meal will be beef and peppers, and then 1 meal will be chicken and spinach, and 1 meal will be chicken and peppers, rather than having like beef and spinach twice or chicken and spinach twice. I like to kind of keep each thing a little different. So I'll go ahead and I'll get the veggies distributed out now. Okay, so chicken and peppers, chicken and spinach, beef and peppers, beef and spinach. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get the lids on these, and I'm going to get them in the fridge because they're cooled down now. I'm still going to have some time until this rice cools off. So in the meantime, I'll show you guys how I prep my first meal, which is my shake. I just like to prep that ahead the night before, just because I don't feel like doing it when it's time to eat it. So I'll show you guys how I do that here in a second. Okay, so we are going to do my first meal now. So I've got my blender over here. This is a Ninja blender. I have no idea which Ninja blender it is. My mom got this for me. And this is how I like to do my shakes in the morning. I've made a TikTok on this before where I talk about the cereal shake, so I'm not going to go like super in depth on this, and this is not something that I take credit for. I actually learned this from Hunter Labrada, but this is how I do my first meal personally. So for the carbs, I'm actually going to use Rice Krispies cereal. Off-brand Walmart crispy rice. Most people will use like oats or something like that in their shakes, and honestly oats are not a food that digests really well with me, so I like to use Rice Krispie cereal because it's rice based and it does not sit on my stomach at all. So I'm going to do 50 grams of Rice Krispies. Okay, so the cereal is in here. You guys are kind of getting a sneak peek of my supplement cupboard up here. I've got a ton of stuff in here, but hopefully you guys can see this. No, this way. No, this way. This is the whey protein that I use. This is Dimetized ISO 100. I'm using the Cocoa Pebbles flavor right now. This is really the only protein powder that I have found that really doesn't upset my stomach a whole lot. So I use 40 grams of this, and I'll go ahead and I'll get that in here. And then because tomorrow is a rest day, I'm going to put my creatine in here as well. I take my creatine in my intra-workout shake on a training day, but on my rest days, I just put it in here with this so I don't forget about it. So 5 grams of creatine in there. And that is it for the first meal. I'll typically have like some fruit or something with that too, but I'll just use like frozen fruit, and I'll put that in the morning. I don't feel the need to prep that in advance, but what I do need to do in advance is blend it. So this is really important with the cereal shakes. If you take this as it is now and you add water to it and you blend it like that, it gets really, really thick, which is probably a good thing if you're dieting. I'm not dieting, and I want my food to be as easy to eat as possible. And so the key with this is to blend it dry before you add the water. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Luckily, this is a pretty strong blender, so it blends pretty easily. Ooh, that did not sound good. That did not sound good at all. But as you guys can see, this is like pretty much like a fine powder and a fine dust. And tomorrow morning, when I add in my water or my milk, I think we're going grocery shopping tonight, so I'll probably get some milk. When I add my milk to it in the morning, then it'll blend and dissolve a lot easier than if I just mixed everything all together dry. So pre-blending that is a big key. Okay guys, we're like 90% done. Basically, the last thing that we're waiting on is we're waiting for this rice to cool down, and then we'll get the rice transferred over to the Tupperware containers. So I'm gonna go and get some content posted, because it's probably gonna be like another 15 to 20 minutes or so until this rice fully cools off, and then I'll meet you guys back here. Okay guys, so the rice is cooled off, and now it's time to distribute the rice into my 4 meals. So basically this is the same process as distributing the beef and the chicken. I know that this rice cooker with no rice in it weighs exactly 600 grams. And so all I do is I tear my scale to 0. And so the weight is 1455. So 600 subtracted from that is going to be 855. So I've got 855 grams of cooked rice. And that divided by 4 is going to be 2... it's like between 213 and 214. So I'm just going to do 213 or 214 grams of rice in each one of these, and we'll call it a day. All right, guys, so that's it. That's the rice in all of my meals. The rice is still a little warm yet, so I'm going to leave these out for like another 5 minutes. The warm rice on top of the frozen veggies is going to make the rice cool down pretty quick, but that is pretty much it. That's all of my meals packed for tomorrow, with the exception of my first meal. From start to finish, this probably took an hour, but out of that hour, I was actually probably only doing like 5 to 10 minutes of work. The rest of it is all just waiting for the food to cook. And that's it, guys. That's really how I cook my food. Like I said, this is a daily process for me. The amounts of each of the food, except for the protein, like the rice and stuff, changes pretty much, pretty day to day. So that's kind of what a typical day looks like for me. Like I said, I very rarely will cook my food super far in advance. I just think it doesn't taste very good by the time we get there. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully there's something that you learned. And if you didn't learn anything, hopefully you enjoyed me mess around in the kitchen and cook my food. So if you guys have any questions or anything, then feel free to let me know as always. But as always, guys, take care of yourselves.